The first step is to replace the image view in the top half of the screen with a SimpleExoPlayerView. Initialize the view in onCreate and set it to a member variable called mPlayerView. Then change the call to set the image view with the picture of a composer to the following call. This loads the question mark bitmap as the background image until the user answers the question. Next, get a sample object that represents the correct answer by calling sample.getSampleById and pass in the answer sample ID. Next, we'll use this initializePlayer method to create a SimpleExoPlayer instance, which is basically a standard simplified ExoPlayer. To create a SimpleExoPlayer, call exoplayer.newSimpleInstance, passing in the activity context, a default track selector, and load control. You can then connect the SimpleExoPlayerView to the player by calling mPlayerView.setPlayer and pass in your SimpleExoPlayer instance. Next, we need to prepare the media. Every piece of media in ExoPlayer is represented by a media source object. You'll need to create a media source object using the following classes. Extractor media source is the class used to create a media source from a regular media format, not one of the adaptive streaming technologies like we talked about, Dash or HLS. Default data source factory is the default data source factory class. You don't need to worry about the specifics of this for now, but it will require this user agent string in the constructor. Lastly, you have this default extractors factory class. Again, don't worry about the specifics. Using the default class works perfectly in most use cases. You'll also need a sample URI, which you can get from the sample object you created earlier. Here I have it passed in to this initializePlayer method. After creating the media source object, pass it into the player using the prepare method. You should then also call setPlayWhenReady and pass in true so that the media begins playing immediately when it's ready. We can also show the portrait of the composer in the album art view when the user selects an answer to help show what the correct answer is. Use the following call in the showCorrectAnswer method to change the album art view. mPlayerView.setDefaultArtwork. Finally, we want to stop and release the player when the activity is destroyed. You will actually usually want to call this in onPause or onStop if you don't want the music to continue when the app is not visible but the activity is still running. For this use case, however, we can keep it playing so that the user can check their text messages or something while the music is still playing. However, we do run the risk of the activity being destroyed by the system and therefore unexpectedly terminating playback. Alright, with these steps complete, run your app. You should already be able to control the playback from the SimpleExoPlayerView without hooking up any listeners at all. This happens automatically when you call setPlayer on the player view. Pretty cool, right?